Arthur, do you think Nussmeier would ever shake LSU down for more money? I wonder. We're talking some LSU spring football and the New Orleans Saints in the NFL draft. I'm Ruddy Rutledge, and this here is some Bayou football. Sup? Welcome all to episode 17 of the Bayou Football Video Podcast. We are back after an extended break. I am Ruddy Rutledge, and he is the main character, Arthur the Bayou Party Dog. Girl dogs, y'all can find him on Instagram at Arthur the Party Dog. So, LSU football. After doing away with their annual spring football game, the Tigers held an open workout last Saturday in Tiger Stadium. Fans were welcome. I was there. There was a big autograph session afterwards. Very long line. A lot of 40 and 50-year-old men getting teenagers' autographs, and wouldn't be shocked by the looks of them that some of these guys are on some lists. Of course, I don't want to even imagine what the autograph clientele looks like at some of these other SEC schools. I've seen one. That was enough. Any of y'all ever seen the running of the Gumps at Alabama? Used to do it back when Saban was there. They should have called that thing the running of the inbred mutant weirdos. And I can't even imagine the A&M autograph line. No thanks, freaks. Before we get to some takeaways from the LSU practice later on in the show, I have some thoughts on this subject first. That's just the subject of spring football in general. Some fans get into it. They can't wait for the latest media practice report, fall to all, no matter how few actual relevant details are passed on and provided. I mean, these guys are pushing sleds and popping their pads for you nerds out there before they kick y'all out of there. But then there are others who think spring football is a waste of time and a chance for players to get hurt. I do not believe it's a waste of time. I mean, when there was an actual game at the end of it, that made it a good excuse to have a crawfish boil, and that's never a waste of time. But spring ball, in general, is it beneficial to the players? Absolutely it is. More so for the young guys than the vets, especially for the early enrollee high school recruits who are out there knocking with big-time college football players while their high school classmates are literally changing into their tuxes for the prom. Is it beneficial to the coaches? Of course it is. It's crucial for the coaches, vital for evaluation of players and identification of skills and development of skills. Is it beneficial to the fans and media, or informative, I should say, as far as real info being shared on what the football team in question will actually look like next fall? Not really. There are a few tidbits the media provide, but not many. And hey, guess what? A lot of these guys we saw wearing purple and gold on Saturday in that practice, good chance a few of them are going to hop in that transfer portal. It opened again April the 16th. Somebody may have already done it by the time this recording gets posted. And of course, LSU could bring in more players, newer players through the portal. I'm thinking maybe another safety. Point being, the workout that we fans got to watch in Tiger Stadium on Saturday was not an accurate depiction of the 2025 LSU football team, and I think most fans realize that. It was just a practice. It was one practice. Now, the old game, the former spring game, I'm not going to act like it was the greatest thing in the world, but it was something. It was always that one day in the spring where fans got to see their team play football, actual football, score being kept, stats being recorded. No more. And whether you're somebody who used to get geared up for the spring game or not, either way, you might still be wondering why this happened, why this is the case. You might be curious to know why we did not have a spring game played and televised in Tiger Stadium this year. First of all, Tiger fans shouldn't be too upset about this. Just know a lot of schools canceled their games/practices altogether, meaning their fans got nothing. So why no game? Well, basically, these coaches are desperately trying to hold on to their rosters. They're clinging to their current rosters. Transfer portal just opened again. It's just the way it is now. Most of these spring games, especially in the SEC, they're going to get televised. They're going to get picked up, put on TV. If nothing else, they're going to get put on YouTube. And now let's just say Jimmy Jett is a sophomore wide receiver at South Carolina. They have a spring game. They televise it. And Jimmy Jett, who hasn't started, didn't get to play much as a freshman, he goes off in this game. 10 catches, 100 yards, 3 touchdowns, all tangible, measurable, recordable statistics. Okay? And the coaches at Big Bad Georgia and Big Bad Ohio State, they see this game on TV or YouTube. And they see Jimmy going off. And they call him up and they say, hey, kid, you're really fast. You're really good. The transfer portal's open. Why don't you hop in? Come play for us. We'll give you $3 million. We know they're not giving you $3 million at South Carolina. Or another scenario, perhaps Jimmy himself or his handlers. That's really one of the biggest problems with this whole thing. That and the fact there are no rules is these agents, handlers, representatives for these players, some of them can barely read and they're negotiating $1 million contracts. So let's say Jimmy's handlers, after his big showing, they call up the South Carolina coaches. And they say, hey, Jimmy had a big game on national TV. He needs more NIL money. Or we're going in the transfer portal. He really likes Oregon. He liked the facilities there from his high school recruitment visit. Hope to hear from you soon, coach. That is why we don't have spring games anymore. Coaches don't want to showcase their players on TV and make portal bait out of them. And then you have the Nico situation at Tennessee, which ties right into this too. As many know, Tennessee's starting quarterback skipped practice, demanded a new NIL deal for $4 million when he already had one for $2 million. Tennessee said, you're out of here. You don't work here no mo. Tip of the hat to Josh Heupel. Apparently he has sturdier backbones than his blasé appearance would suggest. And no, Nussmeier would never. Brave new world in college football. And the elimination of the traditional spring game is just collateral damage. So take your practice, LSU fans. Take your practice and you'll like it. Arthur is enjoying his afternoon beer break. He will be back eventually. Before we get started with our next segment, I would first like to offer sincere condolences to the family of former LSU Tiger Kyron Lacey. Prayers go out to them during this difficult time. As far as the game itself, the LSU spring workout. Now, I'm not going to go over a play-by-play here or attempt to pull any type of analytical data from this thing. There was a lot going on at once, actually, at times. Interestingly enough, they're still going at it out there, still practicing this week. But I did form 3 real takeaways from the long open practice on Saturday, observations that will make for some good discussion and talking points between now and fall camp. So let's hit it. Number 1, the LSU defensive ends looked completely dominant. This has been discussed everywhere. It was the takeaway from this game, this scrimmage. If you watched this workout, you noticed this. Florida transfer, Jack Pyburn stood out the most of the group. Run stop was supposed to be his forte, but he looked pretty good to me coming off the edge. If I learned anything from this one practice, this one workout, is that this guy, Jack Pyburn, is going to be a major player for the LSUD next fall. He's got the physical attributes, he's tough as nails, and from what I can tell, he looks to be a strong leader. Gabe Relaford, Jamari Butler, also looked good coming off the edge. You also have Florida State transfer Patrick Payton, who's very athletic. Just a great-looking position group altogether. from what I can tell. They disrupted the LSU offense. Everyone wanted to see Nussmeier air it out and go deep, use all that speed that LSU has at wide receiver. And the pass rush made it difficult for both Nussmeier and Michael Van Buren. Even though there was non-contact on the quarterbacks, the ends still beat their blockers and got to the passers. Now this brings us to the old argument. When you see a situation like this unfold in a scrimmage, are LSU's defensive ends really good, or is the LSU offensive line, offensive tackles, bad? I don't know if it's that simple. It was one practice. The tackles could have maybe held their own on a different day, for all we know. But just looking at these ends, seeing their athleticism, knowing how well LSU has recruited on the offensive line, I think these defensive ends for LSU are going to cause real problems for SEC offenses next fall. They just look the part. Observation number 2, LSU has a young but very talented and very deep offensive line. Just mention this position group. As most fans know, LSU lost 4 offensive linemen from last year's team, 4 starters. Brian Kelly said after this practice that this spring the coaching staff was basically trying to get the offensive linemen into their proper positions individually, meaning find out who's a guard, who's a center, who's a tackle, who's a left tackle, who's a right tackle, or who can play those positions. Identify your players' strengths and skill sets, further develop those skill sets, and then when fall camp begins, they will compete at their already determined positions for depth chart positioning, starting positioning. And let me tell you, LSU has a lot of options out there at this position, a lot of big bodies. If you follow recruiting, you know how thoroughly the staff has stockpiled talent on the offensive line. Heralded Northwestern transfer, Josh Thompson. Big Josh Thompson was out there. He's probably going to take one of the guard spots this year. But there's competition there. And you have another big transfer, Braylon Moore, also favored to start on the interior, along with DJ Chester. And you have Weston Davis and Tyree Adams at the tackles, although nothing is set in stone. Far from it. Observation number 3, Kyle Williams looks great out there in LSU coaching gear. LSU's new D-tackle coach replaces Bo Davis, who was maybe the top defensive line coach in the game in college football before leaving for the Saints. So LSU brings in Kyle Williams, former Tiger, Buffalo Bills Hall of Famer, or Ring of Famer, or whatever they call it. Kyle was overlooked and doubted his entire playing career. He had the longest and best pro career out of a D-line group at LSU that was scary good. And that's the 2003 National Championship defensive line. You had Marcus Spears, Marquise Hill, Chad Lavallee, who was the best defensive player in the country that year, and then Kyle Williams. Least talented of the group, longest pro career, best pro career. Overachievers tend to make good coaches in general. He is inexperienced, but I like his temperament out on the field. He relates to the players. He's going to kill it here. Kyle Williams will be coaching at LSU as long as he wants to be coaching at LSU. So that about wraps it up for spring ball this year. Like I said, the Tigers have actually practiced a few more times. It's just kind of odd, but now we can start the countdown to fall camp. It'll be here before you know it. And we at Bayou Football will be covering LSU football extensively. So please subscribe for some original content on the never-ending, ever-enthralling saga that is LSU Tiger football. Saints draft coming up next. So the NFL draft is coming up starting Thursday night, April the 24th. And today we're going to center our focus on what is one of the more interesting picks of the first round of the draft. And that is the number 9 overall selection held by the Saints of New Orleans. A lot of talk surrounding this pick nationally. It's been the most talked about draft pick the Saints have held in quite a while, and much of that is because of whose son the Saints may draft, but more on that later. Briefly recapping the Saints offseason, they hired Kellen Moore as head coach after the Super Bowl. They re-signed Chase Young, which I didn't mind. They signed free agent safety Justin Reed, which I liked. They gave tight end Juwan Johnson $30 million, which I hated. And they decided to restructure quarterback Derek Carr, bringing him back, seemingly, as quarterback for this coming season, while creating another kick-the-can-down-the-road scenario that'll cost the Saints $60 million if they want to cut Derek Carr after the 26th season. If they want to cut him then. So it's basically been your classic Mickey Loomis offseason with a coaching hire thrown in. Those are getting more frequent now. Mickey Loomis is the Saints general manager, by the way. And now we're heading into what could be another classic Mickey Loomis draft. And what's a classic Mickey Loomis draft, you might ask? That will be a draft in which New Orleans, at some point likely in the first 3 rounds, ever so predictably will bundle multiple picks together and trade them in order to move up, and then they'll move up with less draft capital now and then pick some project defensive end with a quick first step from Northwestern Montana Polytech State A&M that they could have gotten around later, and that player will go on to be out of the league in 4 years, having received generational wealth courtesy of Gail Benson's checkbook. That is a classic Mickey Loomis draft. But this year, I don't know. This year feels different. It's big. Like this draft, I don't know. It's certainly big as in important. As most of you know, the Saints quarterback situation took a turn recently with the revelation that New Orleans apparently has a banged up car in the garage. That's right. The franchise quarterback, the $150 million restructured man, turns out it's dealing with an injury that has lingered since the 23 season. Strange nobody heard about it till the Saints restructured his contract. Now, I'm not suggesting he's faking the injury because he doesn't want to be a bridge quarterback and he doesn't want to be here anymore, like a lot of others are suggesting. But I just wish the Saints wouldn't put themselves in these situations. They restructured him just to bring him back for 1 year. It just seems like the Saints, because of their ongoing salary cap situation, are always in the position of having to rely on players agreeing to restructure. Carr refused a pay cut, and now the Saints are in a tough spot yet again. Loomising is so much fun, isn't it? It's kind of like riding a roller coaster that you just don't know if you're ever going to get off. As of this recording, we don't know for sure, but as for the purposes of this segment, we'll assume that Carr will not be available for the Saints this year. And to set things up heading into this draft, the Saints have Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener at quarterback. It ain't going to be Haener unless everybody else is hurt. On offense, they have a promising young left tackle in Taliesin Fuaga, other parts to work with on the interior offensive line. They have 2 small, fast, deep threat wide receivers and an aging Alvin Kamara. Overall, they have needs at cornerback, unless they land Jalen Ramsey before the draft, tight end, running back, and they desperately need a big physical target in the passing game. Could use another tackle, too, offensive, and another edge, and more depth across the offensive line. They could basically use help anywhere, at any position, really. This roster is not as good as Mickey Loomis thinks it is. The Saints have the number 9 pick in the draft, the 40th pick in the draft, and 7 other picks. So all that taken into consideration, what do they do at number 9? Well, what they should do and what they're going to do might be 2 different things, unfortunately. Now, all the chatter and the national attention the Saints are receiving surrounding their pick is due to the fact that many draft analysts and national media geeks think that Shedeur Sanders is a very realistic option as well as a good fit for the Saints at number 9. The former Colorado quarterback, as most know, is the son of Buffalo's head coach and former NFL great Deion Sanders. Most analysts rate him as the number 2 quarterback in this draft behind Cam Ward. Of course, many of those same draft experts also claim that this this year's draft class is substandard. Quarterback draft class is substandard in terms of top-end talent. The Saints, now with Carr likely out, need a quarterback. Do they take Sanders at 9? Very possible. It's a very real possibility. I think New Orleans could very well end up with Shedeur Sanders. Look, they're in need of not only a quarterback, but they're in need of a face of the franchise. They haven't had one since Breeze retired. They're not going to sign a big free agent quarterback again. They've got one. His name's Derek Carr, the $150 million man. The salary cap will not allow for another, so the draft is basically the Saints' best option for landing a QB. And with Kellen Moore being a former quarterback himself and a quarterback coach by trade, in as head coach, he's probably going to want to bring in his own young guy and coach him up. So while we're here, let's take a look deeper at Shedeur Sanders, the prospect, as a potential number 9 overall pick to New Orleans. Sanders is described as the most pro-ready quarterback in this draft, and that is very much the truth. He's about as good as he's going to get. His best attributes are his ability to read defenses and his ability to improvise and hit open receivers downfield when plays break down. But in addition to that, he's kind of short for the position. Below average height for sure. His arm is average at best. Maybe below average for an NFL starter. He's not going to zip the ball into tight windows. He got away with a lot of throws in college he's not going to get away with against NFL DBs. He doesn't run. He moves around well within the pocket, but he doesn't have the burst to just tuck the ball, take off, and give you big plays with his legs. Sure, you can say, well, he's a drop back passer, but this is the 9th overall pick, and this is in this modern version of the NFL in 2025. I'd like for my top 10 pick quarterback to be able to run a little bit. Despite his limitations, I still think the Saints taking Sanders at number 9 is highly possible. Need a quarterback. Could also be looking at Jackson Dart of Ole Miss. That would be an enormous reach at number 9, but he won't be there at 40. I think it's a reach to take Shedeur at number 9. But now let's talk about what should the Saints do. And gosh, that just seems like it just opens up an entirely different universe from what they will do. Mickey Loomis. Sonny Weaver from Draft Day, he ain't. Y'all seen Draft Day, the movie? For any Saints fan out there wishing for that moment when Mickey Loomis fleeces another team and works over another GM and pulls off a Draft Day coup, well, you'll just have to keep watching that movie to get your fix, because ain't none of that right there from that movie happening inside the offices at 5800 Airline Drive in Metairie. Ain't going to be no, I want all my picks back and I want David Putney because I feel like it. If you know, you know. Maybe Mickey will prove me wrong in this draft and hold on to and make all of his picks for once. Because if there was a year the Saints needed to hold on to and make all of their picks, it's this one. So I believe they should pass on Sanders at quarterback at 9 overall, address another position there, and then make all your other picks. The only scenario in which you should package picks to move up would be to do it to get back late into the first round to take a quarterback only. I wouldn't mind New Orleans trading back out of the number 9 overall spot and getting more picks. Get 10 picks, 11 picks. The Saints need to find starters in this draft. Multiple starters. 3 or 4 of them at least. No matter what round you get them in, it's just what you need right now. At quarterback, you can just play Spencer Rattler this season. Sign a veteran to pair with him on a 1-year deal. Hell, bring back the Red Rifle for a year. Play Taysom when he comes back. Draft a quarterback with one of your many other picks. Just not Sanders or Dart at 9. But no matter what, the Saints need to bring in young talent through this draft. And they need to get a higher percentage of their roster on rookie contracts. get in better shape salary cap wise this year. I'm not using the word tank. I'm just saying pass on the unathletic quarterback at number 9 overall. Fill out your roster with younger talent. Get your franchise quarterback next year in a much deeper, better quarterback draft class. It gives you a chance to get a better quarterback than Sanders, playing with a better roster than Sanders would be playing with this year if he was the guy. You just have to be patient and wait a year. Want to call that tanking? Whatever. But back to the central focus. If not a quarterback, who do the Saints take at number 9? Number of ways you could go here and come out winners because there are a number of good players here that could improve your team and fill needs. Number 1, for me, Tyler Warren, tight end, Penn State. He'd be my pick if I was running the show and he was available at number 9. Saints need a big physical passing game target. Who says it has to be a wide receiver? This guy would fill that need, frankly, better than some of the big wideouts in this draft. Another thumbs up for me would be Will Johnson, Michigan cornerback. Very good cover man. Could be a Marshawn Lattimore type player. Fits that mold athletically. Wouldn't be mad at all at Will Johnson. And I may get some pushback on this one, but another good pick at 9 would be Boise running back Ashton Jonty. I've changed my mind on this guy recently. This may be high for a running back in this spot, but he has serious burst. Head and shoulders, best running back in this draft class. And I could see Kellen Moore, Boise alum, an offensive mind that he is, having a lot of fun scheming this guy into his offense. And the Saints need playmakers. They need guys who can put the ball in the end zone. They don't have many of those. I'd also be happy with an offensive tackle here. You really can't have too many as long as they're, good. It's the key there. A lot of directions New Orleans could go in here, but they need to hit on this pick. I know that. The New Orleans Saints are at a crucial juncture. And whatever they do with that number 9 pick, that decision is going to have a lasting impact on this franchise. Good or bad, for years to come. I hope they pass on the unathletic quarterback, get multiple starters through this draft, build for the future, get your franchise quarterback next year from a much better quarterback draft class. Follow me for more recipes. Mickey Loomis thinks I'm the stupidest man alive. We love Mickey Loomis here at Bayou Football. Subscribe to the podcast, Mickey. Y'all subscribe too. Please do like and do subscribe. For Arthur, the Bayou Party Dog, I'm Ruddy Rutledge. He is a real good boy, and this is some Bayou Football.